The Colts had themselves a game on Saturday and pulled off the win, but it was actually what was said afterward that grabbed most of the attention. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Did you hit the live button?
Yeah.
Are we live?
Yes, buddy.
Oh, on my screen it says we're not even live yet.
Hello, everybody. We are live. Zach is here. Thanks for tuning in and making us your first listen of maybe your first listen of the day tomorrow. Yeah. Last listen of the night. It is 11:30 p.m. This is your daily podcast covering your Indianapolis Colts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs, which helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. What's up, y'all? Jake Arthur here. Zach Hicks, the two of us from horseshoehuddle.com. We have been bringing you just our blood, sweat, and tears from training camp and everything from the Colts summer so far. So hopefully we can give you some educated opinions on what we've seen tonight from the Colts and Bears. Colts 24-17 victory. I almost wrote them off at one point, Zach. I thought they were done for, but then a little Sammy summertime magic came in with it. That's how it always goes. I was bummed because Sling and Sammy did not have summertime strong, and I thought they were going to be just totally screwed about it, but they were not.
No.
So on today's show, we're obviously going to talk about this game that just happened here. Kind of the main takeaways, a lot of the things that were said by Shane Steichen and in the locker room after the game, who were kind of some standout performance from the offense and defense. So Zach, we'll just kind of go ahead and do some house cleaning here. The Colts came out of this game relatively unscathed. Darius Rush had a hip injury. JoJo Domann with a calf injury after being cleared from a concussion or screening for a concussion. So that, not the end of the world, not starters, not really second team or primary guys for the most part. So not the end of the world. But what was said about some injuries afterward, Shane Steichen kind of cleared up Shaquille Leonard's injury. He missed practice Thursday, the second practice with the joint practice with the Bears. He mentioned that Leonard was in the concussion protocol. He got dinged up a bit against the Bears, and he's, he'll hopefully get cleared at some point, but there's really no word on exactly when. Now, with the shorter schedule this week, I would imagine he does not play against the Eagles. It sounds like they want to get some of the starters some playing time against the Eagles, but if I had to guess, probably not Leonard. And then also Jonathan Taylor. So Jim Irsay, if any of you were watching the local broadcast, Jim Irsay always speaks with the broadcast team during the home opener. And he mentioned that they're really excited to get Jonathan Taylor back. And then there really was not much elaboration afterward. So Shane Steichen said after the game, Jonathan Taylor is expected to be back with the team tomorrow, Sunday. But there's really no word on him being medically cleared or not. He has not been cleared yet. But so there's nothing on when he's going to practice. So he'll be back with the team after his extended or his excused absence from this week. But that doesn't mean that he's back and ready to play. So Zach, I'm going to quit talking for a minute. What do you think?
Yeah, obviously, you kind of led us into this show saying that like the most important thing about tonight was what was said after the game, and it kind of is those two things right there. That Shaquille Leonard, we finally got some clarity about that concussion, that he's in the concussion protocol. It doesn't mean that it's a major injury. It's actually probably a good thing that it's not another thing to his back in this point of the offseason, but obviously concussions are a scary thing. You never want to say good thing this is a concussion. So obviously a double-edged sword there. It's late at night, guys. I'm kind of fumbling over my words here, but yeah, it's really interesting to see that. And then obviously with Jonathan Taylor, I didn't really take too much of what Jim Irsay said as in like, I didn't take it as him saying like, oh yeah, he's back. Like we cleared this whole thing up. It very much read like, hey, we're excited to have him back at some point this season. I'm going to put my faith in Chris Ballard to figure all that stuff out. But when I was listening to the broadcast, I didn't really hear anything noteworthy from Jim Irsay, which is actually a great thing. Yeah. It's a great thing. I'm so happy that I did not hear anything noteworthy from Jim Irsay. And I knew when he talked about Jonathan Taylor, it was going to be this big spectacle, like tweeted by Rappaport and Schefter and all that stuff. But honestly, it really wasn't anything too crazy. He said, we want him back this year. We're expecting him back this year at some point. And I put my faith in Chris Ballard to get that situation rectified. So like you said, those are the more important things of this game where only backups played. But like, I don't think we got too many crazy updates outside of just hearing that just hearing that Shaquille Leonard is in the concussion protocol, and hopefully he can get through that pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Those are some things. Hopefully we get a little bit of clarity in the coming days. But really what got the party started for the day was Anthony Richardson and the starters not playing, which makes sense on both sides, from the coach's side and why fans might be a little frustrated. But, none of the other starters were going to be out there. The guys he's going to play with on Sundays, not out there, especially that offensive line. So what did you think of the decision not to start him?
Yeah, I want to start this by saying I guess I could have tweeted some things that were a little insensitive to fans, because I just don't think the fan way, because I was like, I don't understand people being upset about this decision, where I guess fans wanted to see Anthony Richardson in person. So I should have thought a little bit more about that. I'm sorry, guys, but I like to think typically from an analyst's point of view, because that's my job. I think as an analyst, and Shane Steichen said it really well after the game. He said that, we put more stock in those joint practices than we do in the games, because here's the way I can contextualize it. The joint practices, you are simulating real situations over and over again. So you're doing high red zone, low red zone, you're doing full field drives, you're doing 2-minute warnings, you're doing 3rd and long, 3rd and short, 4th and short, stuff like that, stuff that you'll actually see in a game. And you're doing a little bit more in joint practices than you are in preseason games as well, because the whole world's watching a preseason game. It's really just a couple teams watching the joint practice. So, you're doing a little bit more in those joint practices. You're playing ones-on-ones for more than just like one series. On the Wednesday practice, Anthony Richardson threw the ball like 25 times. Like, you're doing more of that. And like, those are more meaningful reps than what you're going to get in the preseason game.
For 2 hours too.
Yeah, for 2 hours. 2 hours. So when you really get into the nitty-gritty of it, you're looking at these joint practices. Anthony Richardson threw around 35 to 40 passes over 2 days against the starting Bears defense, where they're actually running the Bears defense and they're simulating real situations that he'll see in real games. That's more valuable reps than him getting 2 to 3 series in a meaningless preseason game against the Bears backups with the Colts backup offensive line. Like, I get it. You want him to get the reps. You want him on the field because he just does not have that much game experience. But the only real difference between what was going on in practice and what would go on during a game is like getting him on a stadium in front of fans, like in the stadium in front of fans, which, like, look, this is a guy where I know he doesn't have a ton of experience, but like, it's not like he's going to get nervous playing in front of fans or anything like that. It's a weird thing, but no, I think those joint practices, there's a reason why coaches value that more than they value preseason games, because they can do more in them. They can simulate more things. So yeah, I do think it's a really good thing he got those joint snaps in. I really don't think it's that big a deal that he didn't play in this game tonight.
Yeah, I don't think it's the end of the world, but just me personally, I think I would have played him in the starters just to drive, just because he's a guy where, you've been not you, but like, the team has been preaching, this guy will be fine. He just needs reps, which he did get in the practices, of course. And honestly, the preseason games out here is a dumbed down version of what they just accomplished in the joint practices. But I think it crosses a couple things off early, and this is going to sound stupid and on behalf of the fans for me too, but like, I think just like getting those jitters of coming out in front of the fans and doing all that stuff and playing in your home stadium and everything, I do think that getting that out of the way before the games count and just being week one, I do think that matters a little bit. You know what I mean? When you're looking for every competitive advantage, I think that's something. And it's a divisional game week one against the Jaguars. But otherwise, like that's me putting on my stupid hat first. Like, not to say that is stupid, but like I get that. I understand that.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say, sorry,
yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off there, but one thing I really wanted to say real quick on that is like, I know I'm a hard person to ask about this because I hate preseason football. I despise, like, I love seeing guys that I knew of like 6 years ago in college, like doing something. So I love that aspect of it. But like preseason football is so fake football. It's just, it's just a place for people to get hurt, really, in my mind. So I just don't value preseason football. But my big counterpoint to like the get him reps. He's going to see like 2,000 reps this season. He's going to see a ton of reps this season.
Yeah.
And I know people don't want to hear that because that means you could go through the lumps and bruises throughout the season, but like he's going to get his reps. Getting 20 snaps in a preseason game is not going to determine the future of Anthony Richardson. It's going to be those 2,000 snaps in the regular season or whatever the heck it's going to be. So it's like, yeah, I get it. Get him on the field, get him feeling it. Like you said, get him the fan experience early on. But like at the end of the day, if Anthony Richardson's going to work out or not, it's about what he's going to do in those 2,000 snaps in the regular season. It's not what he's going to do in the 10 to 15 against the Chicago Bears after a week of joint practices.
Most importantly, you don't get guys injured, because I would only put, even for a drive, I would only put him out there if the starting O-line was out there. And you don't have Ryan Kelly right now, and Braden Smith had been banged up as well. So like at the end of the day, it probably was the smartest decision. But me just being me, I think I would have tried to get a drive in there, but I digress.
I get it. I get it, guys. I get it. I know I'm less snarky in person than I am on social medias, but like, I don't value preseason very much outside of just like getting your feet under you. And I think he's got his feet under him at this right now. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. But coming up, guys, we're going to switch gears, talk about the game that actually did happen, the players that did play in that game. And we're going to start with the Colts offense and Sling and Sammy. We're going to obviously start with Sling and Sammy. But first, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Just add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you are hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And every day is me back with you all day, every day next week. Obviously, all day if you just continually watch the show all day. But we'll be back with you guys every day next week talking Colts, Eagles, Colts training camp overall, and what we want to see from this young quarterback going forward. So make sure all you wonderful everydayers subscribe to our channels on YouTube. And you also have those notification buttons hit for all the audio platforms that you listen to this show. All right, Jake. So getting to the offense, look, obviously we want to start with quarterback Gardner Minshew because he was a starter in this game. But look, the real MVP on offense was slinging Sammy Ehlinger.
Isn't it always?
It's preseason football is a time for Sam Ehlinger, and he balled out, had a really good game. I mean, he had a couple misses here and there. Like the first couple series were not great for him. But when the moment really called for it late in the game and it came down to, the Colts needing 2 scores in the fourth quarter, of course, preseason Sam Ehlinger is going to come through, and he definitely did. There was no doubt in my mind, Jake, he was going to get it done. It really just came down to would the Colts defense hold the Bears off the scoreboard, and they did. Sam Ehlinger went down there and scored 2 touchdowns. I thought he had a really good game. I'm really, really pleased with his development over the last couple of seasons, and I think we're at the point where like we can look at Sam Ehlinger and say, this is a good backup quarterback in the NFL. Like I'm very impressed with his development the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he's better than most teams' QB3s. for a QB3, he's a pretty solid option there. And I mean, if you're really only hoping to see him during the preseason, then the man is just a slayer. Do you want him throwing deep down the boundary? Probably not. But everything else, he's got a little magic to him. He can always bring the team back. But no, really nice day. 9 of 14 for 124 yards. Basically a 9 yard per attempt average. 92.6 passer rating. That seems. Oh, don't forget, he also led the team in rushing. 60 yards. Of course he did.
I actually loved how he was used in the ground game. Like, if you guys won just a little sneak peek.
That's how I hoped he was going to be used last year when he got thrown into the fire.
Yeah. If you guys want a little sneak peek of how Anthony Richardson can be used this year, just a little bit, because obviously you're going to do a little bit more with Richardson. Like, look at what Sam Ehlinger was doing in this game tonight. A lot of read option, a lot of getting him in space on the move and letting him either have the decision to use his legs or to throw it. It's a lot of that kind of stuff there. So yeah, I was very, very happy with what Sam Ehlinger was doing out there. Gardner Minshew had a good day too, but really happy to see Sam Ehlinger doing the Sam Ehlinger thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you change his receivers around him every summer and he still does the same thing. So I'm pretty impressed by that because, like, again, he didn't have Strawn out there. That's a guy he's been thrown to for 3 summers now. So pretty good. Running backs, not a lot to write home about except for Jake Funk, the man on fire, preseason MVP, 2 touchdowns in 2 games, a 2-point conversion. I know you're just over the moon about this.
Oh, I love Jake Funk, man. But I honestly, I really think he's a good practice squad back to have. Like,
yeah,
I don't think many teams are going to claim him for their 53-man roster. He's a good special teamer. Like, he had a really big tackle early in the game. Like, I thought he did some good things out there. And he's just a guy, again, athletic, special teamer, can catch the ball. He's a little bit smooth as a runner. Like, that's the guy you want to have as your practice squad running back. And then if there's an injury, you call him up. Like, I think he's had a really good offseason so far, especially in light of everything that's going on at the running back position in Indy. So I think he's doing enough to at least keep him around for this whole year, whether it's on the practice squad or what role there. But I think he'll be a good practice squad back to have for the Colts.
For sure. And real quick, there's a ton of wide receiver stuff to talk about because it was a really interesting day for that group. James Washington and DJ Montgomery just signed 24 hours ago. I was shocked they were even playing. I saw a wide receiver wearing 34, and I thought it was nuts that it was DJ Montgomery. Those 2 guys led the team in receiving. Washington, one of his specialties always since college has been like the deep ball, the big play. 1 catch, 42 yards. DJ Montgomery, 2 catches, 39 yards. Those guys had a really nice little performance there. So, I mean, they joined camp really late, but like they're obviously already doing some nice things to perhaps clinch a wide receiver 5 or 6 role. I think it's still a pretty long shot, but Juwan Winfrey did some really nice things, 4 catches, 24 yards and a touchdown, which required great concentration because it was essentially in the defender's hands. Josh Downs, a couple nice catches. So yeah, really good day. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I was really excited watching all these wide receivers step up because we've kind of talked about it quite a few times this offseason where it's like, if the Colts keep a wide receiver 6, do they even have that guy on the roster? And now with Ashton Dulin being out for the season, now it's, they're going to have to keep 5 receivers. Who the heck is that 5th receiver? And I think we've seen a lot of really good plays from Juwan Winfrey this offseason. Armani Rogers, we've seen a lot of really good things from. Obviously, Mike Strawn, who didn't play in this game, is a guy who's had a really good offseason. And then the 2 new guys coming in, James Washington, DJ Montgomery. I think we've seen a lot of good things from all these wide receivers. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Colts keep that 5th or maybe 6th wide receiver this offseason. Do they go special teams with Winfrey? Do they go experience with Washington or Strawn? Like, I think they can go in a number of ways with this. So really, really positive development that we're actually looking at this wide receiver room being like, okay, we have a couple guys we could keep. Whereas a couple weeks ago, we were looking at it being like, oh man, just cut all of them outside the top 5. Like it's good to have this problem right here now.
Yeah, I also felt pretty similarly about Will Mallory, as long as we're lumping pass catchers together. He had a couple catches for nearly 30 yards as well. You're looking for a performance like that from him, with Kylan Granson wasn't out there today because he's basically tied in 1. Ogletree, Mo Alley Cox, Jelani Woods, they're all hurt right now. So you wanted to see Mallory step up and he did. So pretty solid performance by him as well. Guys, here in a minute, we're going to go ahead and look at the defensive side of the ball. But first, want to bring you word from our friends at Nevermore. And first off, anyone who was able to join me there for the live show before the game, great time. Thank you so much for coming out. Keep coming back to those for the rest of these home games. I mean, awesome deal. For 4 hours, you get, or for the price of your ticket, you get, a buffet line, which the food was awesome, an open bar, all these awesome games. So like really, really good time. There's probably not a better tailgate to go to before these games. So just, at Nevermore, get lost in literality and experience a place filled with intricate design and immersive experiences. From upscale food and spirits to music and entertainment, Nevermore will never be a predictable destination. There's 25,000 square feet of space, which features multiple rooms. Nevermore also has an elevated pub food menu and an old world style pub in the center of the space, featuring classic and handcrafted cocktails, draft beer, wine, and seltzers. There's also a secret passage to a hidden speakeasy bar, a rooftop terrace, which has an incredible view of the city, a game bar with classic billiards, duckpin bowling, arcade games, and all that good stuff. So visit Nevermore under the historic Union Station on South Meridian Street in Indy. Follow Nevermore Union Station on Instagram or nevermoreunionstation.com. Escape and explore the extraordinary at Nevermore. All right, Zach. So before the offense caught my eye today, I had a lot of defenders that really were right there, just doing everything I wanted to see. We'll just start with the defensive line first. I know one guy that caught your eye, but for me, I thought Titus Leo was all over the place. Yeah. I saw him involved in a lot of plays. And when you got a guy like Jannard Avery, who just went down for the season, that's exactly what you wanted to see from your rookie today.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway watching the Colts defensive line was, I like some of the guys that they have behind the starters at defensive end and defensive tackle, but I'm kind of like, what, if we're going youth at like every other position, just keep the young guys, keep the two young guys. And, you're going to bring up the other one here in a second. But Titus Leo falls into that. Titus Leo, very athletic edge rusher where I think he's getting there. He's starting to put together a little bit of a pass rush plan, but it's still not there yet. But a really good run defender, great energy, gets after it in the pass rush, just constantly going after it on every single play. I like Titus Leo. I think he's a big, stockier dude than I expected. And he's a lot more sturdy in the run game than what I was expecting coming into this as well. So
same here. I think I kind of envisioned kind of a slender pass rusher.
Right. I honestly, gun to my head, I'm just like, what? Titus Leo, I would keep over like the Khalid Kareem guys and Jannard Avery, even when Jannard Avery was healthy. Like, just give me the young guy. Give me the young guy who can play the run a little bit and is pretty sturdy off the edge. I just want to see what he can do. And I'd rather have him on the roster than, some veterans that we've had around the league for a while.
Yeah, and like Han mentioned here, I mean, if they could find space for Ben Banigou the last couple of years, they could find space for a guy like Titus Leo. But moving on to the linebackers, I think this was another good chapter in this search for linebacker 4, man. Grant Stewart was out there making some nice plays. Jojo Doman did a couple nice things on defense and special teams before he got hurt. But Cam McGrone, for the first time, caught my eye tonight. I thought, him and Nick Cross especially teamed up on a pair of really nice plays early in the game. One where they sniffed out a screen pass down behind the line of scrimmage, and then they teamed up to kind of break up a pass like 1 or 2 plays later. So I was impressed with that duo, but again, I'm pleased to finally have noticed something from Cam McGrone, and he got a lot of playing time today.
Yeah, the Colts linebacker room is looking a lot better than what we expected going into this offseason. Not that we expected bad. It's just like, again, if you asked me a month ago, I'm like, I don't know if Shaquille Leonard's going to be playing. I feel good about Zaire Franklin, EJ Speed, but I don't know how I feel about the rest of the group. And now we're through 2 preseason games, and I'm saying, hey, Grant Stewart looks like he should be a special teams captain, like Patrick's here saying in the comment section. Like, if you're taking away that, like Zaire Franklin's a starter now, right? So he's not going to be your special teams captain anymore. Like, you probably give it to Grant Stewart. Like, Grant Stewart's your special teams ace right now. So yeah, I think he's had a phenomenal preseason. He's just all over the field. And unlike in that first game, which I think is a testament to just how safe he is on the roster now. That first game, he played pretty much the entire game. This game that we just saw, like he only played the first quarter, I think, or the first like couple series. Like he did not play much of the game because I think he's pretty safe on the roster at this point. Really fun player to watch, though. You might have to get in some Sam snaps during the season as well, just because he just gets after it on every single play. Doman did some good things with special teams before he got hurt. Cameron Grown, like you said, I thought had a really good game as well. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this linebacker group. I wish I could say the same about every other position group on the roster, but linebacker group I'm feeling pretty good about right now.
Richard Smith did say the other day that they think their linebacker depth is better this year than it was last year. So,
I mean Shaquille Leonard playing, yeah, for
sure. But I think he meant the guys behind the starters. But I think there's bigger question marks this year, but they like those guys quite a bit. And then looking at the DBs, this was another one. God, lots to note here. Nick Cross, another big game. Like this guy is just stacking days. Had a big pass breakup. I think he had a sack too, didn't he? Or was it Denbo?
That was Trevor Denbo that had the sack.
So Denbo had the sack. Denbo had his own pass breakup, just flying into the flat. Had a sack later in that drive for a 9-yard loss, forced a 3rd and long, and then they had to punt the next play. So that was a big one. Jalen Jones, this guy, another one. He seems pretty locked in to like that cornerback 4 or so spot. Like he's definitely in the second unit with the outside boundary spot. I think he is pretty dang safe, as you would say at this point. Special teams too had a really nice punt coverage tackle. So that guy's blowing up. Another peaks and valleys for Darius Rush right now, which is to be expected. So what did you think from the young secondary?
Yeah, obviously I want to go in on Nick Cross and Trevor Denbo, but Jalen Jones, man, that's the guy I really want to talk about right now. And I'm glad we have a couple minutes here at the end to talk about him. He was phenomenal in this game. I know he gave up a couple catches. Like if you look at the stats afterwards, it's going to be like 4 catches or whatever on 6 targets or 7 targets. But every single reception that he allowed, he was right there. He was right there.
Contested or he stopped it instantly. Yeah.
Yeah. The only one I would probably get on him for is on that slant on 3rd and short in the red zone. He could have pinched that a little bit tighter, but he was still, again, right there. He was a millisecond away from knocking that ball away. So it's hard to get really complacent or get really upset about that. But had a really, really good pass breakup on a deep pass to Darius Fountain. Had a really nice pass breakup crashing downhill from zone coverage on a tight end. I really am high on this player right now. And I don't think the long speed has really shown up at all. Like the long speed concerns really haven't shown up at all. Like even in his gunner snap, he looked like a legit gunner getting down there despite being like a 4.5, 4.6 type 40 time guy. So I honestly right now, again, gun to my head, I think Jalen Jones is your 3rd outside corner over Juju Brents, over Darius Rush. And again, I think Juju Brents will get up there at some point. Like I'm not saying bench Juju Brents by any means, but if the games were to start tomorrow, the real games were to start tomorrow, I would have Dallas Flowers and Darrell Baker Jr. as my starters, and then Jalen Jones be the guy I'm rotating in there. Like that's the guy I want to get on the field right now because he looks like how Rock Ya-Sin looked in that final season before he got traded away, where it's just like he's just always right there to make a play on the ball. So obviously I want to give shout outs to Trevor Denbo and Nick Cross. They had really good games. Ronnie Harrison had a really good game as well. But just watching this, forced fumble. But just watching this game, like my biggest takeaway was like Jalen Jones can play. And I already knew this. Jalen Jones is a player that if you watch college football, you knew that he could play. But 21-year-old that plays like a 10-year NFL vet, I'm really, really impressed with his game. And to answer Patrick's question here, like from the day he's been drafted to now, he has propelled up this depth chart. And a lot of it has to do with him being healthy, but also just him continually getting better. I'm really, really impressed with him and one of the youngest overall players on the entire team too. So stock is way up for Jalen Jones, probably more so than any other player on the team right now.
I want to sneak one more player in here before we hop off because it's someone I saw you tweet about and we don't get to talk about him enough because he hasn't done a ton. But Adetomi Adebawore, you noticed some good things from him tonight, huh?
Yeah, Adetomi, he's a guy once he figures out how to shed blocks, he's going to be so good. He's going to be so good.
He's a menace.
If you were just like watching the trenches like in detail, you can see that he's driving his guy back on every single pass rush snap. It's just once he gets the guy back in that position, he doesn't know how to get past that block and get off it yet. He's just not there yet. Still a younger player, still kind of coming into his own a little bit. He had a really nice stunt on the Titus Leo sack that led to that sack. Honestly, you should probably give him a half sack on that one. It's the whole reason why the sack happened. So yeah, I think Tommy had a great game. And I think really when you go into the details of watching him these last two games, you're seeing a player where, okay, in a couple years, he's going to be a legit pass rusher. He's just not there yet, but he can definitely be there one day.
Yep, I like it. It's good to finally hear a little more about him. I mean, you've talked already that defensive tackles, it takes a little bit to get there. It's kind of like how tight ends take a while on the offensive side of the ball. But guys, I think that's it for us tonight. Everydayers, the Colts are done with training camp, but they're not done with preseason practice, I guess you could say. They're going to be going to Philly. They have a joint practice with the Eagles before finishing up the preseason next Thursday. I won't be out there in Philly. I'm not traveling for this one. But like Nate Atkins and Mike Chappell, I think, are both going out there. So they'll have you guys all plugged into all the practice notes and everything. But yeah, we'll still be doing shows covering everything that we hear and everything. Other than that, if you don't already, follow at Locked On Colts, at Jake Arthur NFL, and at Zach Hicks 2 on Twitter. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. We would absolutely love your ratings and reviews as well. That helps us get up the charts. And with that, we will see you guys on Monday.